Live from WTVO Rockford and your home team, Eyewitness News at 5 starts now.
It's going to be so hard because he was such a big part of everything that goes on in our house.
A state line teenager passes away in a car crash. His family says he'll be remembered for his passion for sports. Just days after classes begin, an influx of COVID cases means a state line elementary school is going remote. We'll tell you the plan in the meantime. Plus, this will make you hungry. A fall time favorite opens back up for the season. We'll tell you where you can find donuts and fresh apples starting today. Good evening, I'm Hannah Zettel. Eric and Mimi are off tonight. A 16-year-old East High School football player should be getting ready for his first varsity game tonight. He was going to start in the matchup against Belvedere North, but tragically he passed away in a car crash last night in Rockford. Michelle Rave sat down with his parents today, and Michelle, they want people to know what kind of kid he was.
That's right, Hannah. His father tells me he wants his son to be remembered for his kind heart, who would always put others first and had so much love for his family, friends, and teammates.
The bond that him and I had.
Mason Hayda should have been suiting up for the Rockford East varsity football game tonight. The incoming junior was killed in a crash on Broadway yesterday.
16. Just turned 16 July 8th. I went with him. He made sure I was up at like 6 o'clock that morning to take him to get his driver's license. He was by far the most caring, giving, unselfish, loving person anybody could want to be around.
His father, Leroy, describes Mason as someone who loved his parents and his 8 siblings to the fullest.
He was our drive. He was our backbone.
Mason was actually on the phone with his father last night, talking with him just seconds before the crash.
So when I called, I could tell it was over the Bluetooth. And then all of a sudden, it just stopped. And then, boom, I heard it. I heard the glass break. I heard all the squealing. And I lost contact with him. And I kept calling him, he didn't answer. And then I get there, and everything's just complete chaos. But then I was cutting my boy out of the car.
Hayda hopes his son is remembered for his kind heart.
It's never going to go away. It might get a little easier over time, but it's never just going to go away. You know, we just have to deal with it. We have to live with it.
Tonight would have been Mason's first game playing on the varsity team for Rockford East. The team will be playing at Belvedere North at 7. The family will be there, and they ask anyone who knew and loved Mason to show up wearing their ERAB gear. Hannah?
Our thoughts are with Mason's family. Thank you, Michelle. Illinois pet stores will no longer be able to sell commercially bred puppies. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the bill today. The legislation was drafted by State Representative Andrew Chesney of Freeport. He says the action will help bring an end to puppy mills, where pets are often abused. Many pet store owners and employees have spoken against the law, saying they get their dogs from licensed breeders and it will put them out of business. Supporters of the bill say pet shops should work with rescue shelters to sell those dogs instead. A state-line school is going remote just 2 weeks after starting school. Students at Highland Elementary in Stillman Valley will begin remote learning Monday. The superintendent posted he's been talking with the Ogle County Health Department and believes it's the best option because of an uptick of COVID cases at the school. He calls the data alarming and eye-opening. There are 21 confirmed or probable cases among students, and 60 kids were quarantined this week. The superintendent also shared nearby positivity rates. Meridian Schools is at 24% compared to Byron at 7% and Rochelle at 4%. The kindergarten and second grade students at Highland will do e-learning for 2 weeks and return to school in person September 13th. The state of Illinois is reporting more than 25,000 new COVID cases over the past week, along with 174 deaths. The same time last year, there were nearly 14,000 cases and 148 deaths. The number of people getting vaccinated is going up. Almost 78% of adults have received at least one dose. In our area, Lee County has the highest vaccination rate at 49.5%. Winnebago County is at 45% and 48% in Boone. The final drawing of the state's All In for the Win vaccine lottery ends with 2 Rockford students getting scholarships. 2 kids who got vaccinated were picked for the $150,000 scholarships. In all, 17 students across the state are getting that financial help. There were also 2 people chosen for a $1 million cash prize. They're from Bloomington and Rolling Meadows. In all, the state gave away $10 million in scholarships for the lottery. Rockford area homes just keep on selling. The latest housing numbers show homes selling 3 times as fast in July of this year as they did last year. The monthly report states on average, houses sold just 13 days after being listed. Last year, that number was 44 days. Connor Brown with Rockford Area Realtors says financial uncertainty during the pandemic was to blame for the holdup.
Sellers were very, very hesitant to list. Buyers were very, very eager to get more house, more space, or possibly even more yard, because they wanted another office or possibly a room for a classroom and maybe, space to do recreational things.
There were a few less homes on the market this July compared to last, but Brown says despite that, he saw the most sales of any month this year. While it may feel like close to 100 degrees today, it's unofficially fall in the state line. That's because Edwards Apple Orchard is now open. Guests flocked to the orchard in Poplar Grove today to pick cider donuts and fresh cider. You can also pick your own apples and pumpkins. One visitor says her favorite part of the day was snapping pictures of her kids.
We love to take the kids' pictures every year, especially the height ones where we can see how everyone's grown every year. We love to come in and have the cider and donuts, and later in the season we'll come back to pick some apples.
Edwards Apple Orchard West in Winnebago also open today. Both locations are open 9 until 6 each day. Because of COVID, Edwards is having a drive-through where you can get your donut fixed with limited contact. That'll be open on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Illinois National Guard crew is helping transport refugees from Afghanistan. The group went to Spain at the beginning of August for a routine trip that normally consists of moving equipment across Europe. But in the last week, European Command has changed the plans for the troops and their C-130 plane. The flight crew is picking up refugees from Spain and moving them to Germany. The Pentagon is preparing for more ISIS attacks in Kabul after bombs and gunfire left at least 13 service members dead yesterday. As Kelly Meyer reports, now the president is ordering a plan to strike ISIS. Eyewitness News is keeping you connected to the nation's capital.
In the final days of the drawdown, the risk to U.S. troops and evacuees on the ground is growing.
We still believe there are credible threats. In fact, I'd say specific credible threats.
The Pentagon says Thursday's deadly explosion could be just the first attempt to disrupt evacuation efforts.
We certainly are prepared and would expect future attempts, absolutely. But I won't get into the specifics of what those are.
The Pentagon now says there was only one explosion outside the airport's Abbey Gate, with no second explosion at a nearby hotel. Major General Hank Taylor says the attack did impact evacuation efforts.
A little lessening of what we would say total capacity at people in and around gates.
More than 12,000 people were evacuated in the last 24 hours. I asked Pentagon spokesman John Kirby about the ongoing safety of those evacuees and U.S. troops.
Should Americans expect more U.S. casualties in the next few days?
We obviously don't want to see any more casualties. That's why we are monitoring the threat streams very closely.
President Joe Biden was warned Friday that another terror attack in Kabul is likely, and the next few days of the mission will be the most dangerous. But Kirby says the Defense Department remains focused on completing that mission.
It is time to end America's involvement on the ground in the war in Afghanistan, and we're going to execute that.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
Now, your first warm weather forecast with meteorologist Joey Marino.
Good evening, everybody. Live from City Market, I'm meteorologist Joey Marino, and it's no lie when I say it was another hot one to end the work week. Temperatures across the region, because of sunshine and light southerly winds to southwesterly winds, we're able to get into the upper 80s and low 90s. Rockford topping out at 90 degrees so far. That made its 29th 90-degree day of the year. Now, this is well above the average on what we typically see throughout the year. At this point last year, we were sitting at 22 90-degree days, and we usually see 15. So we're well above the average, and it looks like we're going to see a couple of more as we get into the upcoming weekend. So let's take you downtown on our SkyTrack camera this evening. We have just a few fair weather cumulus clouds. We have a lot of sunshine. Temperatures, though, still pretty warm out there. We are sitting in the upper 80s and low 90s still. Really not seeing any cool down just yet, and we're going to see this heat and humidity stick around till about 8, 9 o'clock, and then we'll start to feel those muggy conditions move away for a little bit. But satellite and radar has been pretty quiet throughout much of the day today. We've had much of the thunderstorm activity well off to the northwest with a warm front that's been the main focus for severe weather already today out in northern Iowa and southern Minnesota. A couple of severe thunderstorm warnings and also tornado warnings with that activity. But thankfully here in the state line, we have been pretty quiet. But we're going to stay warm and muggy overnight. We'll keep a stray thunderstorm or two in the forecast. Otherwise, partly cloudy skies into our Saturday morning with temperatures starting out near the low 70s. So with that warm start, it's going to make for a warm Saturday here across the state line. So let's get right to our FUTURECAST. You can see as we head into tomorrow morning, we're going to be seeing just a few passing clouds. We're going to stay pretty quiet. Just going to keep a stray thunderstorm or two in the forecast. Otherwise, much of Saturday also does stay quiet. We'll have mostly sunny skies tomorrow, give way to a few more clouds as we get into the afternoon. Temperatures soaring back into the low 90s. So if you have any outdoor plans tomorrow, it's definitely going to be very important to keep heat safety in the back of your mind. Drink plenty of water, then also take frequent breaks in the shade. And then as we get into tomorrow night, we may see a thunderstorm or two with much of the activity staying off to our northwest, but that's because that cold front is going to be moving closer towards the region, and that's going to be sliding through late Sunday, bringing us cooler weather as we get into the start of next week, but mainly quiet as we get into the weekend. As you can see here, heat index values are going to be near the 100-degree mark tomorrow and then a little bit lower for Sunday, so still hot and humid over the weekend. Tonight's forecast will drop down into the low 70s. We'll have partly cloudy skies. Then for tomorrow, we'll see low 90s back in the forecast. As you can see, though, there is a light at the end of the tunnel with the 7-day forecast. We'll drop down into the low 80s starting Monday and staying in the 80s throughout much of next week. Back to you.
Now, the Napleton Sports Desk with David Greenberg.
Good evening from a hot and humid Kelsey Field here at Hononegah High School as we are set for the return of high school football. We're here at Hononegah because tonight's matchup between the Indians and the Harlem Huskies is going to be a showdown between two great teams with some serious conference implications right off the bat. If you remember last year's thriller, the Huskies stormed back from a 24-8 third quarter deficit to complete the 26-24 comeback. Now let's go 1 year before that, 2019. It's the other way around. The Indians were the ones making comebacks with their 33-30 win. That's why anytime these two teams meet on the football field, it always feels like there's some tension, some bad blood towards each other. And as you can imagine, this past 2 years has had something to do with that.
It's always a little, bad blood between us, just because, we're right down the street from each other and we know each other, but it's just being from those two schools that have been rivals forever.
Last year we barely lost, and I think that now we have to show them that we're the kings of the Nick 10.
Well, you heard it right there. Hononegah looks to retake the conference crown that Harlem earned with their first undefeated season since 1936. And despite that success, head coach Bob Moynihan is completely changing the offense this year. The torch has been passed from James Cooper, the Nick 10's most prolific passer, to junior Austin Redmond, who'll be thrust into the spotlight right from the get-go.
We hope it's going to be a good game. I mean, we're all excited for it to play our rivals' first game, but we're ready to come out and do our best, do what we do.
Opening up with them, too, that always adds to the excitement. Everyone wants football back, and I think that's a great one to start the season off with.
Certainly that's going to be our big game. And they're all big games, but opening up with Harlem is going to be hopefully a lot of fun.
We'd love to have it the last game to make it meaningful. You got to play them sometime, and out of the gate, it'll be like that first year when I was here when neither one of us really knew each other.
Well, I know I am super pumped for this game, and if you can make it out here tonight or to your local area game, don't worry. Set your alarm to 11 p.m. and flip the channel to Fox 39 because Scott Leber and I will have highlights and coverage from plenty of games throughout the state line, including this one here. Plus, Tim Bailey will join us in studio to help analyze this big-time showdown. I'm going to go catch some more of this sophomore game. We'll be right back.
Joey will have a final look at the forecast in a moment, but first, here's a look at what's coming up on News Nation tonight.
Tonight on the Donlin Report, the deadline looms in Afghanistan and new threats stand in the way. How the U.S. can fight ISIS with the little time left and the president's options to stay or leave Afghanistan moving forward. Now, here's Leland Vittert with the preview of On Balance.
Thanks, Joe. Live interviews with fighters who have experienced Afghanistan firsthand. Their take on the tragic situation in Kabul and what they think the president should do next. That's coming up on Balance tonight, followed by News Nation Prime.
You can catch News Nation tonight on cable and satellite stations you see here. You can also head to newsnation.com. Now let's check back in with Joey for another look at the forecast.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the weather that's getting me a little sweaty or if it's the music, because they've been playing some really good jams here at City Market. A really fun time. It's starting to fill in. Still pretty hot, though, as we get into the evening hours. Here's a look at our First Warn Interactive Radar, sponsored by Rockford Auto Glass and more. We're staying pretty quiet. Much of the activity is to our north and to our northwest, and that's with a warm front that's going to continue to keep the severe weather away from us as we get into the overnight hours. We're not going to rule out a isolated thunderstorm or two overnight, but much of tonight should stay quiet. As we get into tomorrow, it's going to be another hot one with temperatures back in the low 90s. So if you got to be outside for a prolonged period of time, such as you do if you're coming here to City Market, make sure heat safety is a big priority. We're going to stay hot as we get into Sunday. Then we're going to cool down a little bit more as we head into next week, thanks to a cold front that's going to slide through Saturday night into Monday. But live from City Market, I'll send it back to the studio.
All right, thanks, Joey. I hope you have some fun dancing out there. Maybe get a snack. You never know, out there at Rockford City Market. That's all we've got for you tonight. We'll see you back here at 6.